All right. So welcome, Renuka, and thank you for agreeing to meet with me and share a little bit about Pardada Pardadi with our students. Can you tell me a little bit about the meaning of the organization's name? It's a little bit of its history and the main goals that the organization has.
Yeah. So Pardada Padadi means great grandfather and great grandmother. So this is not about genetics. This is not about old age, because people usually ask me, oh, it means that you run an old age home, which also is needed and which is also a sweet thought. But no, we were a little different. We thought, because the whole philosophy about development is if you're developing or if you are in the process of developing, you have to be connected to your roots. Until unless you do not have that connection with your roots, you can never develop. And recognizing those roots is very important, and great grandparents is your roots. So that was one of the main reasons and philosophy that we chose this name. Apart from like we as an organization are working on the whole concept of citizenship. So if you go into the ancient system of education of India, it had nothing to do with like which course you are pursuing or what would be your pay package after you finish your education. It used to be about like what kind of human being you would be. So, so that's what we in our very, very small way are trying to do in our rural development program.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so what is a little bit of the history and what are sort of your main goals?
Sorry?
A little bit of the history. How did the organization get started? And...
Okay. So we are 20, I say we are 20 years young, and yes, we are young. So like India, we are a young organization.
Sure.
It was started by a gentleman called Sam Singh. Sam is how he addressed him lovingly. He's 80 years young, and he came to, like, he was born in, so how I'll tell you like how the Indian system of governance is. So we have like country, and then like US, we have states, and we have union territories, and those states are further divided into districts.
Yeah.
And districts are further divided into blocks. So we work in Uttar Pradesh, and which is a state. Then we work in a district called Bulandshahr. And in that Bulandshahr, like Uttar Pradesh has 62 districts. So we work only in 2 districts and primarily in Bulandshahr district. And then each district is divided into blocks. So we work in 3 blocks and primarily in Anupshahr block. So, and then those blocks are further divided into villages. So Sam was born in one of the villages of Anupshahr Tehsil. Okay. So he went to US, I think in 1960. So very early on, and at the peak of racialism and everything else. So he was one of the first employees of DuPont, and the best story I love about him is he's a great storyteller. So he told me first time when we met that when Bitya means daughter, that when I went to DuPont and I had to go to the cafeteria in the afternoon, I didn't know which side to go.
Oh, wow.
Because of the color.
Right. It was still, segregated.
Yeah, it was very segregated.
Yes.
So then actually not earlier on, because when you are connected to your roots and when you are in other land, you become very conscious of who you are. So when by the age of 50, he decided that he will come back to his own village. So he came back to his own village after 40 years of stint in US.
Wow.
And founded Pardada Pardadi.
Okay.
And I don't know why, for some crazy reason we met and we gelled on.
That's that. I was going to ask that next. How did you get involved with the organization?
Yeah, so I am a development practitioner. I have a degree in Masters in Social Work. But degree is one thing, but it was more of a passion to be in this sector. So I've been in this sector. I'm like, oh, old hand, I would easily say. I've been in this sector for 33 plus years, worked in all kind of organization, multilateral, bilateral. And when I met Sam, he came home and I and he was like we were introduced by a common friend. So
Okay,
this idea that he had to have development as well as business, which is not easy
right.
if you're doing it all by yourself, because he came from a very strong business background.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody introduced us, and then I and then I don't know. I said, okay, I will write a concept note, and that's it. And you go your way. I'll let me be in my own island of being a donor agency person and guiding or hand holding a lot of grassroots organizations and governments and others, and finding faults with them all the time in their balance sheets. But I don't know how this became my story, because the organization started from my uh, two-bedroom house. It became my story completely in that sense. And then we went on this journey together, and we are still together in this journey with
Wow,
many, many
wonderful.
more, I will say, Padada Padadi family members now.
Excellent, excellent. And what, share with us, what is the main sort of main goals? I can see from your website about education, but what are some of your main programs and main goals?
It's a very simply set goal. But right in the beginning, we knew one thing, that if you need to develop any society, you need to work with girls and women. And we said that our vision statement is economic and social empowerment of rural girls and women. That's it. But if you see these three words, social, economic, I will say rather four: social, economic, girls, women, and empowerment, they're very, very loaded words.
Right.
Uh, and and especially when you're working in an area like Western UP, which is, if you will see, the crime against women rate is the highest amongst highest in India, or I will say very sadly highest amongst the world. Very
Mm.
patriarchal in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing about change there is like a mammoth task, but not impossible.
Sure.
And so that's what our goal is.
Wonderful. And so when you have these goals, what are some of the specific um, uh, services that you provide as an organization?
So when we started in year 2000, we said, let's start with girls. And there was a specific reason behind it. Because see, you and me sitting today and talking and laughing about where we are and what we are doing didn't happen overnight.
Right.
It took generations of our mothers to be so brave to bring us to this position, or creating this opportunity for us.
Right.
So, and for even for us, it took us long time to understand who we are, what we need to do, what is right, wrong, and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, like, if we really want these girls to be first economically empowered and that's also socially empowered, it doesn't happen with one workshop. It doesn't happen by one program or one scheme. You
Right.
have to be with those girls for a long, long time.
Mm.
So in order for us to be with those girls for a long time, we didn't know how to explain it to the mothers, because we also had decided that we will only work with the families who are economically underserved. And so it was like, I will say it was a double whammy task. So we said, okay, we will open a school for girls.
Uh-huh.
And in that school, and we started with a very small idea, in the sense that, okay, we will bring the girls into the school, give them basic education till class 10 so that they can read and write, and then also take them, train them into vocational training. And so we used to run a school for the girls with half a day academics and half a day vocational training, with the simple idea that they can read and write, they know a little bit about their rights, and also they can like have a skill to earn a living.
Mm-hmm.
Pooja, can you hear me or see
Yes,
me?
I can.
Is your internet, like, are we connected, or is the
Yes,
internet
yes.
issue?
Nope, no issue. It's working.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the whole idea.
Okay.
But like it has been a, like, for like any other development, I will say not a program, but development as such.
Mm-hmm.
It teaches you a lot. It teaches you to learn every day and unlearn also every day.
Mm-hmm.
So in this journey of 20 years, we also learned many things. We unlearned many things. We learned one thing, that girls, when you give them aspirations and you tell them that you have a right to dream, they are the most beautiful people who not only aspire, but they work very hard to achieve those dreams. So in 2006, we had to change our whole program of us being just not a vocational skills program school. Because the girls came to us, and my daughter is as old as my biological daughter. So
Okay.
there was constant competition between both of them, both sides. And she used to regularly come with me to Anup Shahar. So one day girls came and asked me, okay, tell us one day when your daughter grows up, will she become a seamster, or she will become a sewing or tailoring person? I said, no, she will choose what she wants to.
Right.
They said, why are you confining us to the boundaries?
Oh,
And,
interesting.
and that was so right. And mind you, Anupshar is a place which is very, very rural, very agriculture. There's no industry, nothing.
Mm.
And in that, and the reference to context of those girls and their families was just 6 miles.
Wow.
They didn't have any concept of what industry means. They didn't have any concept of what does it mean to be in cities living by yourself. They didn't have any concept of what university means.
Sure.
And these were the girls who were aspiring to fly high. And
Right.
and if see actually if you like, I strongly use the word my girls, and people tell me like this is so much against anti social work practice, but I don't think so. So if you really believe in the concept of you being them, then you have to constantly evolve. And that was where we started evolving.
Mm-hmm.
So we changed our school program, and it became a full day school. And in that full day school, we did half a day academics and half a day what we called as personality development.
Okay.
Because for these girls to evolve as very responsible citizens who we wanted to become change makers, they had to have cognitive skills of that level, analytical skills of that level, and also they we wanted them to not only process but be able to stand up and speak for their own rights.
Mm-hmm.
So we designed the whole program, which was called personality development. And along with that, we trained them how to live in the cities by themselves and be part of professional universities.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
So that was one change that we brought about. Second change, that we didn't want to close our skill building program. So we opened it to all the mothers, all the sisters, all the relative women of these girls to come and start earning. Because by then we had learned one thing, that for these girls to have an opportunity to be the change makers, they need lot of support from women folks in their families, especially women folks in their families.
Right.
And financial independence was one of the ways of doing it.
Right. So you
So
really thought about not just the individual, but the system in which that individual exists.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful.
we also were very conscious of one thing, that when I'm saying they're my girls, we wanted the whole program to be such that no day a girl or a mother could say that I can't send my daughter to school, or the girl says I can't come to school because I don't have clothes, or I have my periods and I can't handle them, or like I'm sick most of the time because there's not enough food in my family and I'm the last one to be given food. So that's why in the school program, we created a package where we took care of their health, like right from deworming to anemia to everything. We were one of the first few ones to make sanitary napkins. So we worked with this padman. He came himself to install his first machine in our
Okay.
school way back.
Oh, is that what the movie is made from?
Yes, yes, yes.
Ah, okay.
Mr. Muruganathan came himself to install his first machine. And we started the whole movement of what was called as rags to pads.
Ah, wonderful. Okay. How unique.
Yeah. So, and then during, like, it was only also during that time that we started building toilets in the homes of the girls.
Okay.
Individual toilets, which I'm talking about somewhere 14, 15 years ago. Because that was one of the major issues for the girls, and I can go on and on and those kind of things as well on this. And then book stationery, bicycles were provided. We also used to deposit 10 rupees into their account on the basis of attendance, because one of the major issues the mother faced was that this girl was a main one of the support earners for her in her family.
Sure.
And also mother was very insecure, like, because mother didn't know, apart from like that 6 miles radius, if this girl invests 13 years of her life with Pardada Padadi, she will forget to do agriculture and other things. How will she survive and sustain?
Sure.
So, and on the other side, what we saw, because of poverty, these girls were getting married as children. So there were a lot of child marriage issues.
Okay.
So this I will say incentive program also helped us to intervene on child marriage issues, because we said this money you can only get, first we said you can only get when you are 18 years.
Okay.
Then slowly and gradually we changed it and evolved it again in that program.
And so now what is the age at which they can get that money?
They can use that money when they go for professional degrees after finishing school.
Ah, okay. Okay. So you move the little benchmark a little bit farther and farther.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they also understand, like, there's attendance is very good, retention is very good, because they all understand money makes money, and they have that concept of financial literacy and financial empowerment now, which makes a lot of difference. So this is on the school side. And on the school side, we found out a lot of universities associated with them. So girls are now doing very well. They are into jobs all over. Like, while I'm speaking to you, there are 4 girls in US studying in US, and 2 of them, I think 1 or 2 of them are also in jobs in US, different parts of the country and few other areas in the world.
Wonderful.
So the mother who does not even know where, like, she can't even say United States of America,
right?
And her daughter goes there and has a job, which is huge, like, which is huge in that sense.
Huge for anybody, let alone for somebody from Bulandshahr.
Yes. And similar, so our girls are working as IT professionals. They are pursuing engineering. They are pursuing biotechnology. You might feel that I'm like bragging. Yes, I am a bragging mom.
Fair enough. You have something to brag about.
Yeah.
So let me ask, Renuka, let me ask you, how did the community, so the families, how did they perceive your organization when you first arrived on the scene?
They said we were mad. They thought that we were crazy. We were doing all kind of things which were not right. So when we started taking our girls, like, because I mean, like, the organization also has a strong belief that learning happens not just through books.
Right.
Learning happens when you see things and touch them,
Yeah.
feel them. So in the beginning, I used to bring a lot of girls to my own home for exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does it mean to be working, uh, like having a working partner, and why do you need to have that kind of balance of relationship and everything? So
Mm-hmm.
they used to they used to think that like both me and my husband are crazy. Yeah, because like in most of the scenarios, men are not supposed to work, and we have that gender stereotype. Whereas in my house, it was very different. So
So
first
when you say
context
men
used
are
to be
not
that.
supposed to work, I don't think the students here will understand that. What do you mean by that?
So what it means is that they're not supposed to share household chores. So and that is not only in India. It is
Right.
all of most of the parts of the world.
Right.
So if we both are entering a house, so it is usually the female is expected to offer a cup of tea to the man.
Right.
So but my house was very different. So when they saw this happening themselves, they believed it. Girls believed it. But
Sure.
when they went back and narrated it to their mothers, so so dads got threatened.
Right.
Yeah.
And how did those
And
families,
also
how did those mothers react?
mothers understood. So very funny story I have. One day, first trip, we brought the girls to Delhi for an exposure, and they went back and told their mothers, look, what do? You only have reference to context to this 6 mile. Now we have been to Delhi. And I was at our campus the next day, and at that time we only had 40, 50 students. On all 50 mothers came to me. They said, you have only taken our daughters to Delhi. You need to take us also to Delhi.
Ah,
So I will say the most beautiful part of the journey has been very brave mothers and very brave daughters.
excellent.
They have been very supportive.
Okay. What about their
Men
husbands?
took
What about the
Men and
fathers?
boys took a lot of time to accept this change, and they thought they were smart. They were trying to play games. They were creating hindrances. That doesn't matter, because ultimately the sense has to, like, you have to have a very patient game. You can't say that, okay, these are our allies and these are our enemies. That's not what you do when you work at the community level.
Right.
And it is a game where you have to, because you have to, we always forget, we are in a very, we like, unfortunately these days development is all about numbers, about metrics, but development is not that. It is like, even if you have brought about change in life of one girl or one woman, you are bringing, because we are an organization which is into intra-generational change.
Uh-huh.
And especially when you're working on issues like gender equality.
Right. Right. And so how do you
So
connect
that
with the
was,
men?
so I've already told you about our education. So we don't directly have programs with the men, but we do interact with them on different forums, different bases. Say, for example, I can give you an example. Say, for example, like when we have parent-teacher meetings, we invite the fathers or the brothers also to come. It's not that we say you can't enter the campus, no.
Sure.
Then
And
also,
do they come? Do they come?
yes, they do come. They do come. They do come.
So they are interested. They are interested in supporting the development of their daughters, their wives, their sisters.
Yes, it takes a while. So when we started, say for example, our self-help groups program in the villages, when I went to make the first group myself to show to the team how it is done, so there were only 20 women and myself sitting in a group, and 400 men surrounding us and shouting and using all kind of languages, and they were very scared.
Mm.
And we now have more than like 5,500 women in self-help groups. And the
Wow.
same men who used to say you can't go for a meeting, they're the ones who say, okay, you go, I'll take care of the milking of the cow.
Right. And so do you think it's just a matter
So,
of, I mean, you must have done something to make them feel comfortable.
See, one thing is that you have to ensure that whatever you are doing, they also know about it. Say, for example, we do agriculture trainings. We said invite is for women, but you can bring your spouse or a brother or a male member.
Okay.
But no male member can come by himself.
Sure.
The woman has to invite.
Sure. Sure.
So we have turned around. That's one thing. And secondly, what happens is that when you have to work through examples. Say, for example, the girls now, they're all like, if all my graduates who are working for past 5 years are earning pretty well, and they're supporting the families also. The
Wonderful.
Same father who used to say, oh, if she goes to America or if she goes to Delhi, she will run away with boys,
right,
and used to create a ruckus. The same father now sits in the group and says, my daughter is working in so and so company and she sends me so much money, and now she invited me to Bangalore or wherever, and I went, and it was such a pride. So that one has to work slowly towards this pride factor, and especially because I'm saying we work with families which are economically underserved. So what happens in country like India, when you are economically backward, you are very backward socially as well.
Mm-hmm.
But just imagine the change that happens because this girl, this mother, who is part of the whole process, brings financial empowerment into the family. The social status of the family changes.
Uh-huh.
So it is a very connected process.
Right. And
acceptability
and the
becomes
fathers
much better.
And the fathers are enjoying that
I've already
change in
spoken
social
about
status.
articles about economic empowerment and yes, and they realized that they were wrong.
Right.
Because no girl runs away with the wrong boy. Because when she's much smarter than anybody else. And same is true for mothers or other women of the villages. They never misuse the money. They use it for the betterment of their family.
So they're very clear in their goals. These
Yes.
young girls are very clear about the goals they have and what they want for themselves and their families.
Yeah, and same is true for the women.
Uh-huh.
Because ultimately, no woman will go to the booze shop after taking a loan from you and drink it off.
Right. Right.
So those are very strong and very sweet messages that our work has taught us.
Wonderful. So when it sounds like you're already talking about theory now, but you know, it's a class, and so we talk about theoretical lenses. And I wondered, and we talk about systems theory, ecological theory, and you're already talking about some of the concepts of that. Is there consciously, did you think about a theoretical lens when you were imagining, the services that the organization would provide?
So I will say no, but yes, there is a logic into the madness. So it doesn't happen like just like that. The only theory I have learned all through my work is listen to what people are telling you.
Uh-huh.
And be open to accepting change and be ready to be constantly into a design thinking framework or a logical framework of thinking.
Sure. So you're very.
So that's I don't understand too much of theories of those otherwise.
No, I mean, that's all right. I think you're already doing the work, and the theory is, we can name the theory. So thinking about the mother and the daughter and the father, that's, family systems theory. We would say, look, that's family systems theory working. When you think about, the village, the city, that's ecological theory working. When you say we work directly with the clients, with the families, and and change our services to meet the needs of, and listen to what the community wants. That's community-based, participatory, organizing. So these are all, we have titles for them, but you're doing the work. So when you think about culture, in the US, people feel like, oh, India is one culture, and so they don't have to think about culture as we do here in the US. Do you think about, Renuka, do you think about culture and cultural norms and cultural sensitivity when in the work that you're doing?
You have to. Not only you have to think about culture sensitivity, you have to think about religious sensitivity. You have to think about like what repercussions caste will have on it, because India also on top of everything has a system, and we are in a very actually a very dangerous game actually, to be honest with you. Because we are not only addressing the whole change theory and saying equality, because equality is easier spelled or said, but when it comes to reality, it's not easy thing to be see like implemented at the community level, and especially in the community where women and girls are not even counted as human beings. Or if you are from a lower economic background, you are landless, or you're marginal farmer, and you are from the low caste, you're not even counted as a human being. So imagine those households like now having much better financial status, much better social status also, because of their becoming more socially evolved, is radical.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not easy.
Right.
And so I can say here, like, say, for example, like a mother who, as it is not recognized in her family as a equal partner who has a say, and she stands up and says, okay, my daughter, I don't want my daughter to get married at the age of 16. I want her to fulfill her dreams, and let her choose and decide when she wants to get married, and she let her go and get educated in city. And the whole village who doesn't believe in this theory, they boycott her. They stop talking to her. They boycott the whole family. It is not, it is very, very difficult. So that's why I always say, whatever we do is all because of these brave women and the brave girls.
Right. And has that happened? Has that happened where you've
Many times, many times, many times.
And how does it resolve itself? How, in your experience, how has it resolved?
See, you have to talk to the influencers in the village, who can be from any caste. You have to stand by those girls or those women. They need to have that confidence that, yes, we have somebody with us. We will not, like, they will not leave us, whatever may happen.
Okay.
That you have that confidence. And also now, because these women are together as part of the self-help groups program, so that also gives them that strength.
Right.
So, and then and see, nobody, I don't think anybody in this world does not wish or desire for a better life. Everybody does. But as we say, I don't know whether poverty came first or stupidity came first in that. Like, I'm using a very strong language. Sorry about it. But when you are poor, it does not allow you to think about the next day.
Yeah.
You live in today. You live in this very moment.
Right.
But if somebody handholds you and gives you that confidence of living and aspiring, it makes a lot of difference. I just want to share something here. I came back from Anuksha last night only. So during the time of COVID, we also gave revolving fund to some 600 plus women to restart their livelihood. So I was in one of the groups where we had done this. There were 10 women sitting there. And so one woman, she said, I have taken a loan of 24,000 rupees from the self-help group because my husband was a migrant laborer. He walked for 7 days from the place of his work to come back to village. He fell very sick. So I had the money from my self-help group to get him treated.
Oh, wow.
And not only that, with that, now she started a small shop in the village which sells groceries. So
Oh,
now what
wonderful.
she's doing is like she earns around 200 rupees a day out of that and taking care of the entire family. All of a sudden, the husband who was the big honcho, that whole dynamics has changed because the
Right,
husband is so thankful to the wife.
right.
So I can go on and on about these kind of stories.
Wonderful. So you touched upon it already, but talk a little bit more about power, privilege, bias. How do these concepts, how do you think about these concepts, the organization as you're doing your work?
So as I said, it is very important until unless you're not pushed to the corner, you should never work on the theory of allies and enemies. Try to make everybody your partner when you, I will say, like, there was a time because mind you, Western UP is also very criminal belt. There was a time that we could not move into the villages without having a security. But now slowly and gradually we went to the Molana clergy, we went to Hindu priests, because those are the primarily two kind of religions that are there, and talk to them, explain to them. We took and one major thing that we did was right from the beginning was concept of making mothers and the girls understand what we are doing and their acceptance, because once they have an acceptance, and also like we teach our girls how to negotiate, because when the girl stands up to say, okay dad, okay, you're thinking that you only want to send my brother for X, Y, or Z, and you don't want me to go because you don't have money. So she can't just stand up and say, okay, you are very bad and you did this and that. So we tell her, okay, go to your dad when he's in a good mood, and take something, cook something for him and take it, and then talk to him, and don't leave it at like just, it won't happen overnight.
Sure.
Because see, dad or this man is a heavy truck, and this girl can get killed any moment under that truck, and we don't want that to happen.
Right.
So what I'm saying is like it doesn't happen very easily, and also like you have to be constantly in touch with the key players of the community,
That's key,
influencers of
huh?
the
That's
community.
really important. Connecting with the head of the village, connecting with the religious heads of the village. Those are really important factors to
Yeah,
making some change in the community.
yes, and also taking them along with you. Give them, even if that head of the village is the patriarch of the highest order, never say, you say, okay, yes, well done, you're doing great job, look at this, what the women have achieved under your leadership. And that trick works, honestly it works.
So you since you mentioned the word leadership, I'm going to ask you next, how did you come to your role as a leader of this organization, and what do you think are key leadership characteristics? What do you think really are those key ingredients to becoming a strong and uh, effective leader?
First is just forget that you're a leader. You have to do it yourself, especially in my case, because I live in Delhi and our program is in the rural area. And we have a team of almost 200 people. Out of that, I will say 192 people are from Anup Shahar. So
Okay.
which means that they are also from the same background. Say, for
Right.
example, whatever I say, okay, well, it's okay for a girl to ride a motorcycle. I'm just giving you an example. Why can't girl ride a motorcycle? But in Anup Shahar, that's not an acceptable fact.
Mhm.
So first look that they will give me is, this woman is crazy. So what I will do is I'll ride the motorcycle myself. Come to Anup Shahar one day riding a motorcycle. I've never done that. But like, yes, I have driven all kind of vehicles myself to prove the point. So what I'm saying is like, you have to do it yourself first. If you're asking them to help the villagers in the cleaning drive, you have to pick up the broom. You can't just say, okay, do it. No, that is one. Second, I feel is that you have to believe in the competence and the genuineness of the colleagues, and give them that space where they can experiment and also go wrong. Doesn't matter.
Excellent.
That is very important. And then thirdly, most importantly, is believe in them and give them the ownership.
Wonderful.
And one thing that we always forget is to recognize
Mm,
for the wonderful dedication that these people.
wonderful. Can you share, Renuka, this last question? What is most recent activity that you're most proud of having engaged in or achieved?
So COVID has taught us a lot of things, like any other person in this world.
Right.
So I will say COVID taught us lot many things. Like my mindset always used to be that say for example, our economic empowerment wing, which is iVillage. We always thought, okay, it has to have a very factory-based environment. But COVID pushed us and we went to the villages, we went to the temples of the villages and started production there because we had to create employment for women during the time of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we created employment for more than 200 women by through making of face masks.
Wonderful. Oh, good.
So I think we till now we must have made more than 1 million face masks.
Wow.
And it is still going on. It is giving employment to the women at the household level now.
Okay.
Similarly, like when the schools close down, because for us, school is not just an academic center. It is a place where this girl gets food. It is a place where this girl gets safety and security. It is a place for this girl to feel at home. So we said, like, how do you ensure that all girls are safe and secure? We started with safety attendance for each girl, and I will say that I strongly believe that like if your intent is good, everything happens well. So we were able to intervene and stop 5 child marriages because of that. And
Oh,
now we are in touch with each and every girl of ours, at least even physically, because we have opened schools at the doorstep. We created, like we thought out of the box and converted our school buses into mobile labs.
uh-huh.
And similarly, I've just shared earlier also, like we did the revolving fund. The whole program of revolving fund evolved during this COVID time. So
Can you
there's
say a
lot.
little bit more about the revolving fund, Renuka?
Okay, so what happens is that these self-help groups, under the self-help groups program, women save money, equal amount of money, and then they can take it as a loan when they need, because most of the time the formal institutional systems do not support the women, single women by themselves. But if you are a group, then they do. So we said, like, because most of the people, agriculture got impacted during the time of COVID, many migrant laborers lost their jobs, other people lost their livelihoods. We said, how do you work so that these livelihoods can be reinstated. So we gave a fund of 5,000 rupees to each of these groups, and this told them, now you use this money. We gave them modus operandi. We trained them how to make micro plans and everything. And now you use this money for restarting your life. Either like you can invest it in agriculture, or you can start some enterprise. Like those were the options given.
Okay.
And as I was sharing earlier, like more than 600 women have done remarkable work of reinvesting their money and also getting money from the government as a matching grant.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So this, I will say, like these are few of the recent works that we did.
Wonderful. You're doing
And apart
great
from
work.
helping everybody, like we have distributed rations. We had a toll-free call number, and I can go on and on. So yes.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So those are all the questions. Thank you so much for your time. You're doing wonderful work there in India, and maybe one of these days we'll come and visit.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Please come and visit us. It will be great fun. We are on Ganges, so we can take you on a boat ride in the Ganges.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I have future hopes of bringing students and, you know, sort of giving them an exposure to the culture, family norms. Again, I'm thinking, you know, family studies and how they can be exposed to the family context in India. So I will definitely keep in touch.
Yeah, we have a couple of universities who bring their students from US as well.
Wonderful. Oh, wonderful. I'd love to hear more about that. So we're gonna close up for today. Thank you again, and I'll be in touch.
Sure, and thank you for letting me share whatever we could and letting me blabber.
No, this
So
was wonderful. This is, again, like you, I also believe that learning happens through doing and seeing. And, you know, I can go to the website, the students can go to your website, but it's not the same as hearing from you and hearing your journey and hearing the organization's journey. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
thank you, and all the best for the amazing work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck, and hopefully
Bye,
COVID will be
take
under
care.
control soon.
Sure. Looking forward to it. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.